Hey guys, it's Ken Maxfield, otherwise known as the Hide Guy. This is my weekly market recap for the week ending September the 18th. Last week in the big Packer market started pretty much like it has the past several weeks. Packers had offer lists that appeared to be very well populated, with many of the Packers accused of having a full complement of offers. In fact, general consensus of the trade is that many of the Packers had more hides for sale than they were willing to admit. The vast majority of offers were for prompt shipment, which is a very stark contrast from just only a month ago when they were indicating to me and you and anyone else who'd listen that they were sold all the way through the month of September and into October. So as far as interest last week, of course, buyers have are dead set on buying hides at aggressively lower levels, bidding prices $2, $3, $5, $7 under the asking price of the various Packers. Packers doing their best to minimize how much of a discount they take, trying to trade as close to steady as possible. That said, the gap between the ideas of buyers, the ideas of sellers were quite wide. Packers were reluctant to really move much further off their ideas because they'd already lowered prices by a couple of bucks to start the week. So being that they are unwilling to negotiate prices, I'm going to say there wasn't as many hides sold as could have been. The knock was 657, which we'll come back to that. So popular opinion of most people, including myself, is that there wasn't a week's worth of production sold, and trading levels were anywhere from $2 to $3 below last week's trading levels. On the cow hides, similar situation as the big Packer side. Producers have offer lists that look very well populated. In fact, like big Packer hides, popular opinion of most people is that there's more hides for sale than what producers are willing to admit. And that said, buyers' ideas are coming in well below the lowered asking prices of the producers. Like big Packer hides, the differences were so wide apart that it was difficult to get many of the buyers and sellers together. That said, sales concluded were roughly anywhere between $1 to $2 lower than the week prior. Probably could have sold more had they been willing to take less. So not a very productive week on the side of the producers. As far as the knock last week, the revised total came in at 657,000 head. Was rather surprising considering we had the fire at Grand Island to start the week. It's resulted in no harvest on Monday at Grand Island, but they got back up and running on Tuesday. Dakota City had an issue where they didn't kill the first 4, 5, 6 hours of the day on Monday. So very surprising, large number on Saturday, and that's why we got to 657. As a comparison, we saw 648,000 the same week last year, and if you compare it to last week, it isn't apples to apples because it was a holiday week, so it was 577, just for those who care. Year to date, the harvest is 840,000 head above last year. That's about 3.7% higher. We look for those trends to continue, especially with Packers still reported to be making over $800 per head. As far as the export report, that there wasn't really anything to write home about that as well. In fact, it was very surprising, basis the conversations we had. Wet salted sales came in an anemic 277,000. That's about 125,000 lower than the week prior. Bright side shipments of wet salted were 422. That's about 75,000 better than last week. Wet blue sales, 199,000. That's fantastic. But the week before, they sold 2,000. Add those two numbers together, it's 150 average. That's still lower than the weekly production of wet blue. Why was the number so high? From my past experiences, if you put this in the memory bank, the second week of every month, you'll always see a big wet blue number because one of the large wet blue producers tends to report their monthly sales on the second report of the week, and that's why it was at 200. So shipments of wet blue hides were impressive. 219,000. It was 64,000 the week prior, so that was impressive. So nuts and bolts total sales were higher than the week prior by 75,000 hides. Shipments were more than 200,000 better than the week prior. That's 641, almost 645,000 hides shipped. That's what they need every week to clear what they're producing. They've had all these hides stacked up because of the shipping problems, and that's why we're in some of the issues that we're having right now. So going around the world, our friends in Europe are starting to show a little bit of concern in the marketplace. They're starting to experience many of the problems that people in the United States have been dealing with for the past month that are related to COVID issues, shipping issues, etc., etc. That's causing all kinds of problems for them. It's taking prices lower, and that's what you're going to have there. So prices aren't substantially lower than they were the week prior, but they are trending lower. So sorry about my dog there. So I got somebody at the door, but not a big deal. Down in down in Brazil, they have, of course, still are dealing with the BSE. There are additional countries who have banned exports from Brazil. That's gonna have to slow their kill down, in my opinion. It hasn't resulted yet, but I think it's going to happen pretty soon. And you are going to see fewer numbers. That's going to help those selling hides to be able to maybe try to manage the downward pressure. But for right now, we're going to call fresh prices off about 10 reais cents versus last week. Prices of wet blue still trading in the range we said last week, but it seems like there's more being done at the bottom end of that trading range than there is the higher end of the trading range. And with the underlying pressure in the entire global market, I think you're going to see lower prices on wet blue there too. Going over to Australia, our friends over there are reporting, they're struggling with the situation that they can't get things. There's not as much demand. Their kill remains relatively low because of COVID issues and high live cattle prices. Again. But that said, they're having to succumb to lower prices. Their prices are probably off about 20% from their highs in July. So that kind of wraps everything up there. As far as what's going to happen next week, my friends, check out the website, www.themaxfieldreport.com. If you're not a member, go out there, scroll down to the bottom, request a sample of the 2 reports I offer. You'll find out why your competitors, your customers, your colleagues know things before you do. It's because they're members of my report. If you do that, you like what you see, I'll let you do a free trial with no obligations. You don't have to give me a credit card. Take a look at it. Guarantee you're going to get information quicker than you've ever gotten it before. So that's it for this week. Ken Maxwell, the Hide Guy. Until next week.